Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to take a minute to talk to you about wood grain paper and also using your dies or stamps to get the most out of them. Actually, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and she had just gotten this die from Hello Bluebird in the mail and she wanted to use it, but she didn't want to color the tree. And this particular card, I colored this with Copic markers, and you can do that. That's, it takes a little bit more time, but you can certainly do that. This one here, I did with wood grain paper that I made myself. I didn't have anything that was subtle, and I didn't have, I didn't want to use, this paper is great. I love this paper, but I didn't want the contrast in this particular card. I wanted it a little bit more subtle. And I realized that I had bought a wood grain stamp from Hello Bluebird a while ago, but I'd never used it. So I figured, well, let me try it and see if that works. And if it does, then perfect. I can make my own wood grain in any color that I want. So I don't have to worry about buying the paper packs anymore and getting a bunch of colors that I know I'll never use. So this here is the wood grain stamp. I've already got it placed in my MISTI, and to me that's, you really kind of have to have a MISTI because you've got to stamp it a couple times to get a good even coverage. And I do use, I guess they call it a checky tool, to get even pressure around the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. Let's move these out of the way. I'm using walnut stain distress ink, not the oxide. I'm using the actual ink. And I'm going to be inking around the edge once I cut it out. Okay, my stamp was dirty, so my paper's already got a little bit of a stamp on it, but not much. So we're going to go ahead and stamp this. I'm sorry about that. Make sure you get good even coverage. And like I said, you're going to need to stamp it twice. Well, it's not too bad, but we're going to go a little bit darker. Okay, and go back to the checky. Okay, excuse me. That is pretty much exactly how I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my tree. Now I do have one that I did earlier. This is actually on a different piece of paper, and I didn't do a very good stamp. I just did something quick and easy to see if I even liked it on that color. So I do prefer a little bit darker. You can see the difference in the shades, but you can go with any shade, darker, lighter. And once you ink it up, of course, it's going to bring on a whole new color. So this is the color I'm going with now, which is kind of like a caramel, maybe a little bit darker than a caramel color. So I'm going to cut out my tree. So bear with me for 1 minute. Okay, so now I've got my tree, and that's what that looks like. So now, if you look at my cards, I like to give the door a different color just to make it pop. So I usually end up cutting that off, which is what I'm going to do this time. And I will insert a different color door. Okay. So now I want to ink it. I'm going to ink it with the same color. Get rid of my little window there. I'm going to ink it with the Distress ink Walnut. Actually, it's Walnut Stain. I'm sorry about that. And this has got a bunch of little pieces, so let's get those out. So you can see when you ink it, it's going to give it life. And I can use, or I can go without a lot of things in my craft room, but I can't go without my Distress inks. I've got them in the big size, I've got them in the mini size, I've got the oxides. You know, those are the one thing, if I had to give up anything, or if there was anything I didn't want to give up, it would be the oxide or the Distress inks. And I love the oxides too for a different look, but I use my inks all the time. I have the full set of each, which isn't necessary to have, but I've got full set syndrome, I guess you could say. And now I want to ink around the door and kind of go up a little bit. Try not to bend it like I'm doing it. And what you could also do is, and I don't have it right here, but I have a little Cricut sheet that I cut down that I actually put these on so it doesn't move, and I can go ahead and ink and, you know, avoid those bends that I'm getting here because I'm not holding it down. Okay. So with that being said, you can see now that it's kind of taken on a different color. So let me get my original color and show you what it originally looked like. Okay. So the paper started off as this color. And then once we inked it, it took on that color. So now that we've inked the tree, you can see that it's really kind of taken on a life. And it is so much easier than coloring it with Copic markers. And to be honest, I personally like this tree better. So, you know, it's just a matter of preference, whatever you like to do. But I just wanted to show you a quick and easy way to make a tree if you didn't want to color it in and make the veins of the tree or the bark of the tree, whatever you want to call that. So that's a quick and easy way to do it. The other thing I wanted to show you is this stamp, or this die actually. This die here, when she got it and she cut it out, she's like, you know, I loved it with your cards, but I don't like the way it's coming together with mine. You can see all the seams. And I'm going to tell you this, that you have to stick with this. Don't put it together and say, okay, well, I don't like the way it's coming together. It's very seamy. You have to actually put the whole thing together in order to see what it's going to look like when it's you know, completed. So give yourself a chance. This actually cuts like puzzle pieces, you know, so this is actually the tree. And I'm not going to put this all together right now because I did a tutorial on that. But as you can see, this is how it cuts out. And then it cuts out another piece down here, which is over in my garbage can. So that's how it's going to cut out. When you start putting this together, like I said, give yourself a chance. Don't start putting it together and say, well, you know, you can see the seams and I don't like the way that looks. But once it's together, you're not going to see the seams. Here's two different cards using the same exact die, and your focus isn't on the seam here, because once you've colored it, it looks like all one piece. So just give yourself a chance. This was meant to be I believe it was meant to be a winter scene, because this is actually snow, and that's how I did my original card. But you can see I needed a birthday card, and, you know, my friend turned around and she said, you know, it looks like the Keebler house. And it really does. It really does. You know, I showed my husband this card, and he's like, wow, looks like the Keebler house. Makes me want a cookie. I was like, okay, well, there you go. So, but I mix and match. I don't stick to, you know, it's all going to be Hello Bluebird, or it's all going to be my favorite things. I want to get the most out of my stamps and my dies. So I mix and match companies. I don't care about putting them together. My only thing, and I'm going to put a little notation in here, is my little thing is, do not use counterfeit products, guys. I know it seems like the cheap and easy way to go, but number one, your quality isn't going to be there. Number two, they're actually, and I see a lot of this. In fact, I saw it with some people that had stolen Hello Bluebird dies and their stamps, actually. You know, these guys work so hard to come up with the different ideas and the designs and the creations to bring them to us so that we can make our own little creations. And to have them stolen and sold from underneath them, you know, really just, you know, it makes me sad, because a lot of these companies, you know, they rely on us to stay in business. And I'll be honest, you know, I like having them around. So many scrapbook stores and stamp stores have gone out of business, and in this economy, it's hard for them to stay in business. So support your local scrapbook store or stamp store, or even online stamp store. You know, support them. Don't buy counterfeit. Counterfeit it's a crime, and I wish they would see it as a crime and punish. But until then, you know, we have to do our part as stampers and support them. So anyways, I'm sorry to go off on that little tangent, but that's something that's kind of been bothering me for a while. And I actually had, it was funny because I have no affiliation with Hello Bluebird. I found them a little while ago, probably a couple months ago, and bought a ton of their stuff because the ideas are so cute. You can't help but love them. And I had submitted a card, and I don't remember which one it was, but I had submitted a card to them, and they view them all before they approve on the Facebook group, which if you haven't checked out, you ought to check out that. It's Hello Bluebird's Facebook group. But I had submitted it for approval, and she emailed me, and very, very nice. But she emailed me and said, you know, asked if I could show her a picture of the stamp set that I used. That she wanted to make sure that there was nothing counterfeit. And, you know, she mentioned to me that a lot of people got offended by that. And I find that hard to believe, you know, that somebody would be offended by somebody who was asking by a company asking them to just show a picture of a stamp set to show that they really do, you know, they really do have it. So if you're offended by that, I'm sorry, but I personally was kind of happy that they were doing it. So, you know, shout out to them, and shout out to those who also believe that, you know, counterfeit is wrong. It is wrong to steal designs and sell them for cheaper. You're not going to get the quality. You know, I inadvertently at one time bought something from somebody else and realized that it was counterfeit because the quality was just terrible when I went to die cut it. And I actually did end up buying what I knew to be the real one. And I kept it to you know, check it out and see the difference between the two. And number one, the size difference was there. But number two, even though they looked identical other than size, the cut quality was definitely terrible. So, you know, that's another thing. You're going to get what you pay for. And if you want to get something that is quality, and I will tell you that these dies, I was surprised because these dies are very inexpensive. You would think that because it's a solid piece, and this actually has you know, more dies that go with the window and, you know, all the little cutouts. So to make the window box and the frame and the doors. So you would think that it would be a lot more expensive, but it's not. So there's really no excuse. Okay, done with my tangent. Thank you for listening. And support your local scrapbook stores and stamp stores. You know, we want to keep them around so that we can keep doing what we love to do. And send a smile to somebody who needs it today. Okay, I'm going to end it on that. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.